What's poppin', y'all? Vlad found himself at the end of a barrel of some of the Barbs because he's been going at it with Nicki Minaj for quite a while. And most recently, he decided to start a potential rumor that she had dumped her husband, Kenneth Petty, because he had cheated on her. And this all started with a post he put up on X, which has since been deleted, and we'll check out why a little bit later. But he says, it looks like Nicki Minaj dumped her husband, Kenneth Petty. According to the S Offender Registry, he's now living in a tiny 800 square foot house in Jamaica, Queens, instead of the $20 million Hidden Hills mansion Nicki owns. The rumor is that he got another girl pregnant, but that's not confirmed. Is this the greatest bag fumble of all time? And here he showed the house, and he also showed the address to the house, which I will not be putting out there, but it is in Jamaica, Queens, 11436. That is the area code, and he is from Jamaica, Queens. This is the funny part. The fans start replying. One of them says, Vlad, you're an idiot. This is nothing more than a solution to the swatting problem. So the issue that Nicki Minaj ran into, especially when it came to Cardi B, is that fans of and haters of Nicki Minaj, so fans of Cardi B, haters of Nicki Minaj, which span further than just Cardi B fans, because a lot of people hate Nicki Minaj, they find her address from the registry because she lives with her husband. They've been together. I don't know if they've been together for quite a while, many years. And on top of that, they also have a child together. And that guy just stays out the way. Now, she does sometimes use him as a threatening kind of like pit bull when she's like, yo, my Big Zoo wants to talk to you. And it's like, who the hell wants to talk to Big Zoo? She used that on academics. And I believe it might have been Offset or somebody else. Nicki Minaj will basically start beef with a male figure and then sick her husband on them or threaten to sick her husband on them. So when her address is on there, a lot of people will just phone in threats and give her address and the police will show up. The whole swatting thing, it usually happens to people that were live streaming because these kids, they want to get a reaction out of the live stream and want to be the ones to cause chaos. But it's subsided a little bit. They used to have to deal with this, and there was nothing you could do about it. And the police would just say, oh, man, we just have to show up. But now, ever since Aiden Ross blew up and streaming has become more of a thing, people are getting in contact with their police department, and they can smoothen things out, so it's not a recurring thing. So this Bray the Barbie account continues. It says, just because every female rapper is in an unhappy relationship doesn't mean you can create lies out of your behind. And Vlad says, that's not how the offender registry works, idiot. It's where you're physically located. You think Nicki and their son are living with him in that tiny house? Barbs are really the stupidest people on earth. Well, yeah, of course, they're not living in that house. Now, tiny house, that doesn't look like a tiny house to me, especially a house in New York, in Queens. I mean, there's a lot of space in Queens, but this doesn't look like a small house. And Vlad continues to say, the Barbs are going through cognitive dissonance right now, and I love it. And somebody replies and says, what's funny is, when you made the sarcastic post about Jay-Z and Roc Nation, they pushed the hell out that post and made it go viral. Oh, but let you tell the truth about Nicki's husband. Like, who defends an offender? And then he says, exactly. Just a big group of dummies. Now, the tweet that they're talking about is when he said, yo, I'm just going to be honest. Roc Nation and Jay-Z, they pay me. He just put out a big, obvious bait post, and people ran with it to satisfy their conspiracy. But the real question is, why is Vlad randomly looking up the situation between Kenneth Petty and the address and the offender registry and also Nicki Minaj? Like, why does he have an issue with Nicki Minaj and want her relationship to fall apart? Well, Nicki did go off on one individual that Vlad really felt hurt by, and that was none other than SZA. And he would explain this in an interview that he did with Academics.
The SZA thing just sort of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, you're calling this girl ugly who already has insecurities about her looks. We've talked about this before. She already has serious insecurities about her looks. You know, she's had plastic surgery and everything else like that. I remember when you said, like, you made a comment about her, like Drake called you, was like, yo, man, she's really f***ed up over this.
She was crying.
Yeah, man, she was crying.
She's at like 5 BBLs.
Yeah.
Been trying to get that junk right. Hey.
I'm just saying, I just felt bad for this human being that's being attacked by this major artist who has this crazy fan base.
Because I ain't gonna lie, when I'm on my rant, stay out of my motherfucking business. What happened is that I don't care if Nicki's on some drugs. I don't know if Nicki on drugs, but I don't care what's going on with Nicki. But when Nicki going on her mind your business unless you want to smoke. She tweeted out, she tweeted something. She's like, the Mercury must be in retrograde today. And Nicki, well, the Barbs sent it to Nicki like, yo, she's subtweeting.
Okay, and here's the other big problem I had. One of the TDE dudes.
Punch?
No, not Punch. Okay. This other dude was like, yo, man, Nicki don't want to smoke with TDE. You know, we'll put her. Mac Wap was like, yo, man, she get put in the blender. You know, you see how Kendrick does it. Oh my God! FBI, CIA, TDE is threatening me. They're gonna kill me. And then like the what's her name, Luna, that one representative was like, I just talked to Nicki and we're looking into this. We don't tolerate bullying or threats on people's life. And I'm just looking at this going like, and y'all call me the feds.
That's woman privilege right there though.
Y'all call me the feds.
Yo,
when she's publicly tweeting the FBI and the CIA and talking to a government official about investigating someone who made a joke.
So this all happened last year, and a little bit more context is that she was going back and forth with the Desiree Perez situation, the Roc Nation situation. She was going on long rants. Now, after she would respond to Vlad, and she would use the acronym very little albino D, and he would pretend not to be harmed by it. I don't think he was affected by any of Nicki's comments towards him, but the fact that he felt so disturbed, bothered, and jumping to the defense of SZA was a bit odd. And Academics was fair in saying that, hey, look, SZA decided to throw some shots, or what could be interpreted as subliminals and shots on social media to Nicki Minaj. It's not like she randomly decided to come for SZA's looks and appearance. But ever since then, Vlad has just had it out for Nicki. I don't know why. It's definitely, and that's probably why the Barbs believed the rumor or the troll bait post that Vlad put out. Now, sure, are some Barbs just dumb? Yes, that's true. But and it wasn't just Barbs. A bunch of people within hip-hop, a bunch of people outside of hip-hop, they were the easiest to bait with a conspiracy post like that. But the Barbs are more likely to believe it because they're going to say, well, Vlad started attacking Nicki Minaj and coming at her head top for something that she said about SZA and dismissing everything that she says as crazy rants. She's on drugs. He did that on the press run when he was on the Breakfast Club last year. He was talking about like, yo, Nicki's crazy. This is behavior I usually see from people that are on drugs. So he's dismissing what she's talking about. And largely what she was talking about is Desiree Perez, Roc Nation, and how they were moving. So for the Barbs to see that he admits that he was getting paid by Roc Nation, it adds up. You're like, okay, no wonder why he's been attacking Nicki Minaj. He doesn't care about SZA, or why should he care about SZA? Nicki's attacked a bunch of other people in the past, or defended herself against a bunch of other people in the past. But the initial tweet has since been deleted by Vlad. And even Academics, somebody who's had history with Nicki Minaj and the Barbs, beefing with them. Also, just a little bit of beef between them. She was also threatening to sick Kenneth Petty on him. He addressed this as well.
Now, Vlad, I believe, did delete this tweet or whatever it is. So, in analyzing what this is, it does appear that Kenneth Petty is now told the criminal justice services that he's living in New York. Does Nicki live in New York now? I don't know. We do know they're married, or we think they're married. His residence has changed. Is it because he got a woman pregnant? Did Nicki leave him? I don't know. I have no idea. They have a child together. I feel like they've been building a family. I can't co-sign or vouch for anything that would say opposite. So right now we're going on DJ Vlad's word, but he's since then removed the post. So I'm not too sure if that's accurate or not. Now, I will say Nicki Minaj for years has actually gone to bat for her husband, saying that he got railroaded as a teen or a young man, and that he supposedly never committed a rape, and he never did what he's accused of doing, and that because of his age and something with the family and this and third, he basically, he didn't have a lawyer. He took this designation that kind of has changed the trajectory of his life, but it's not really indicative of the real facts. Okay? So I want to make that very clear. But we have no more information. Vlad is the only person saying that, oh, we got another girl pregnant. So we have no idea if this is true.
So even academics who would be able to get a rumor like this, he never heard about it. So it's almost like Vlad kickstarted this rumor. And what likely happened is that Nicki Minaj also has a penthouse in New York. And so they're probably spending a lot more time in New York City. And what he's going to do is he's going to register himself at that home, which is probably his mother's home or something like that. And he's just going to spend time with Nicki. So his real residence is that home. It's kind of like, it's playing the game. Because if they were in LA frequently, he would have to register a Los Angeles address because he's physically in Los Angeles. But let's say he's living in that house, quote unquote. Let's say he's just with Nicki Minaj all the time. Yeah, he's just visiting his wife. But his real address, quote unquote, on paper is the one that he's staying at. And I guess it's local enough. Is it legal? I think it's like some sort of gray area. I don't know. But one of the things that is interesting too is because she's in Hidden Hills, which is in Calabasas, and Vlad is in Calabasas. But Hidden Hills, I think it's even, is that the gated community in Calabasas? Because I remember Ye was living there, Nicki was living there, Kim was living there, and Travis Scott, I believe, was living there too. So maybe Vlad's got kids. He's talked about it publicly. So maybe he's like, yo, I don't want none of these. He's constantly looking at the offender registries. I don't want none of these people around me in my neighborhood. I don't make all this money and work this hard for 30 years for no reason. But I do think this was a bit too much of a leap for him to make. Like, oh yeah, they're cheating. We would get rumors of that. Nicki Minaj stands. Nicki Minaj, you think she would be quiet if she was getting cheated on by her husband? No way. And you think the Barbs wouldn't be able to find out the rumor before it got to anyone? If Kenneth Petty even met with a girl, I'm pretty sure they would be able to put two and two together and they would surface that. And more sources than Vlad would just assert that claim. And the way that he asserted it was as if somebody actually told him, which we have no proof of that whatsoever. So I don't know why he's got this gripe against Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj and academics even came at him about the Rock Nation stuff and said like, hey, look, I've experienced this back and forth with Rock Nation, and you being dismissive about it is kind of like allowing them to continue to operate in this manner where they're doing underhanded tactics with not just content creators, with public figures, other companies, family members. You knocking what Nicki Minaj is saying about Rock Nation is just doing a disservice, or you labeling Nicki Minaj as crazy when she's the biggest figure and the loudest voice that can get this message across, and being dismissive about everything else that she's saying is doing a disservice and allowing Rock Nation to continue to operate in that manner, which is a good point that was made by academics towards Vlad. And Vlad would even address it and say like, yeah, I'm not saying she's completely crazy about that, but when people are making rumors about like, yo, Jay-Z and Rock Nation, they're doing all this evil stuff, that's what I was talking about when I was trolling. But I guess it came at the wrong time.
But
pattern recognition, sometimes it feels a little bit more than coincidental. And I think when you mentioned Jay and Rock Nation and how they move, I think even when Nicki's talking about them, I don't think Nicki's out there. I think Nicki's actually speaking facts. I'll be honest with you.
Nah, bro. Nicki's unhinged. She's always been unhinged.
Whoa, I'm not talking about everything she's saying.
Get out of here. Stop it. Me and you talked about her unhinged behavior.
No. I'm not saying about...
No, you can't use Nicki as like the...
I'm not defending
rational thought.
Okay, I'm not defending everything Nicki's ever said about everyone. I'm saying when it comes to the conversation she's had where she's mentioning Desiree Perez, Jay-Z, and Rock Nation, I don't believe those are all just, thoughts of a manic individual that have no either personal experiences with these people to support what she's saying. And here's the thing. The majority of what you've said, I could completely dispute, because even when you say, which obviously you're being facetious, you're saying, well, Rock Nation paid us $10,000 a month, right? Let me ask you a question. You're being facetious, clearly, but do you believe that there's no one in the media, I wouldn't say necessarily getting paid off by Rock Nation, but that has mutually monetary interest that would be in their benefit to defend Rock Nation or Jay-Z?
But I really do want to know the real issue. It cannot be her making fun of SZA unless Vlad was involved with SZA in some sort of capacity in the past. I don't know if that... I'm not saying that's a rumor. I'm just saying that's the only way I could think about it. Because it's just another rapper. Like, he's not saying like, yo, she disrespected Cardi B and this and that. No. And he's still on her head. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one.